Complexity killed so many opportunities. Don't overcomplicate anything. Keep it simple. And you don't have to solve everything for everyone, but you need to understand what you're solving for and do it well.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, the weekly show for nomads, work campers, RVers, and entrepreneurs looking to earn a living or build a business while enjoying the RV lifestyle. This week's host is Glynn Willard. Let's settle in and enjoy the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, brought to you by RV Life.
Welcome to the RV Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Glynn Willard, your host this week, and today I have the privilege of speaking with Don and Deanna of KoolRV. Now, they recently discussed their background story with Patty Hunt on her sister podcast, the RV Life Podcast, episode number 122. That said, this is the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, so we're going to discuss and dive into the business aspects of starting and running a product-based business from an RV. Let's go.
Hey RVers, let's be real. Your RV showerhead isn't great, and even if you swapped it out for something better, chances are it's just a shinier version of the same old thing. And if you're really lucky, those stiff hose kind of let you get wet, but definitely not where you want it. That's where Waterpik comes in. A global leader in water technology, they've designed the Transform RV showerhead to change the way you shower on the road, making it easier and more efficient to shower in tight RV spaces. While other RV showerheads have limited spray adjustments, the Transform RV's unique 360-degree pivoting head allows you to customize to any spray angle without having to remove it from the bracket. This means you can reach your desired spray area and shower with both hands free. This showerhead doesn't just work better, it feels better. It's engineered to deliver powerful, consistent water flow. Its multiple spray settings are optimized to get the most out of your water tank. And with the new trickle switch, you can conserve water without that shocking blast of cold or hot water when you turn it back on. It's available in white, chrome, and nickel. The Waterpik Transform RV showerhead is ready to upgrade your RV shower. Head over to Amazon and check it out now.
Hi, Deanna and Don. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
You know, I've looked into your background, and I got to research something that I think a lot of people dream about doing, and that is inventing a product and then taking that product from the idea all the way to a commercialized product. And not only have you done that, you've done it from your RV, which, I mean, hey, this is the RV Entrepreneur Podcast, right? So let's dive in, and I want you guys to take me through the beginning of this, and let's really focus on the business.
Certainly. Well, it started with no Wi-Fi, and I'll let her explain that.
So I have my own business that I started in 2017. I have an operations background, which we'll get into. But I needed internet, and we were in the middle of Montana at a campground, and we had no Wi-Fi. So I had to get on some calls. I was a little stressed out. And so we decided to go to a different campground and put into, he has Google Maps, I have Apple Maps. It took us to the same directions to this other campground. And lo and behold, there was a low-hanging overpass.
Well, and all of the reviews on this place had said there's an overpass, but don't worry, big rigs can fit under it. We relied on them, which we should not have, because it turned out to be the wrong overpass that we were at. And so as I tried to creep forward, I crunched our front air conditioner, which was not fun. Fortunately, I didn't do any other damage because I was just creeping. Also an opportunity for us to say, had we been using RV Life Pro, the GPS app that RV Life has, we would not have gone that way. We would have gone a different way, and our company never would have been formed. In the process of going through the insurance, I had to take the cover off of the air conditioner on the inside to take pictures from both the inside and outside. And I noticed that the cold air supply from the air conditioner was not attached to the ducts. And I assumed it was a 2021 rig, COVID build. I thought, well, they just forgot the part. Called my dealer, and the dealer said, no, that's how they're built. And I thought, I'm not an engineer, I'm a finance guy by trade, but I can tell that that's not very efficient. And so my dealership had mentioned that there was a company out there that made a product. And I looked at the product, and it was really expensive. And I just couldn't bring myself to spend that much money. And so we were sitting in Montana. It was 95 plus degrees outside. We were in the 80s inside. I'm from Alaska. I don't do heat. And I had this epiphany on, I could come up with something different. And so I grabbed some cardboard, some duct tape, and some HVAC ducting, and I made 2 of these. And I popped them in, and the temperature in the rig plummeted. It went down into the 70s, and the air conditioners turned off because we hit the temperature we had them set to. We'd never had that happen on hot days. And I looked at Deanna and I said, "Hon, I think we're on to something here." And so as we started thinking it through, we said, well, you know what? If we can accomplish 3 things, we need to start a company. 1, we want to design a product that is very easy to install yourself. 2, you have to be able to look at the product and understand what it does by looking at it. And 3, at a minimum, it had to be half the price of the other product on the marketplace and still make a profit for us to be able to launch it. If we couldn't hit the 50% price point, it wouldn't be worth our effort, and we'd figure something else out. And so that was really the start of KoolRV.
Wow. First of all, you're extremely astute for those 3 parameters to dictate how you're going to approach this. And when you made we'll call it the Alaskan Redneck prototype that you have a picture on your website, I believe it's KoolRV.com. Yep. I mean, it's a fantastic prototype. It's exactly like, and you achieved that much of a change from that alone.
It was remarkable, and it wasn't until later that I was able to figure out all of it and actually figure out that I was focused potentially on a couple of the lesser aspects of the product. I ended up eventually buying a fluid dynamics textbook, an engineering textbook, and reading it, which great bedtime reading. If you want to fall asleep, fluid dynamics is the way to go.
No, I'm digging this. I'm all about physics. Let's talk more.
But I needed to understand why it worked as well as it did. And so I was able to determine that. But quite honestly, we started everything we just knew empirically it worked. We could measure the improved airflow. We could, and this was really the most significant piece that we didn't realize at first, was that the product actually allows the air to stay cooler as it flows through your ducts. So we just got a new rig and put some in and measured a 3.4 degree cooler temperature at the vents with the product installed versus without it installed.
That's significant.
Yeah. And so it allows us to cool much better. It allows us to cool more efficiency. We use a lot less energy. In our old rig, we did a lot of boondocking, and we would have to run our generator with wherever we were at to run our air conditioners. And before we put our systems in, we would get about 30 hours of generator usage out of 30 gallons of gasoline. We put our systems in, and we went up to almost 45 hours of usage for the generator off of 30 gallons. So almost a 50% improvement in our energy efficiency. And it was because our air conditioners could cycle off because we were reaching the temperatures we were trying to achieve.
That speaks volumes. And, I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that are just like myself and Rose. We spent 2 years boondocking in an outdoors RV with 2 Yamaha generators running our air conditioning. Yep. And to have had something like what you had, what you now have and what you've created would have made such a significant difference for us. So, I mean.
Well, yes. And when you look at people who are using solar and they're building these giant banks of batteries and tons of solar panels, and they're doing it to a large degree so they can run their air conditioners, anything we can do to help them with energy savings, those folks benefit as well. Though I will say that our biggest response are from people who are in very warm territories, places like Texas is our biggest state, where it's just so hot and they can't, when it hits 110 degrees or higher, and they're trying to stay cool. For them right now, cool is trying to get it down to 100 degrees if they can. We can get them down lower than that.
Right. And if you're doing that off of batteries, they need every ounce of help they can get.
Yeah.
So, yes. So you create this prototype out of cardboard. And did you immediately decide that this is something you have to patent?
So the patent process is an interesting one. We knew if we were going to take it to market, we absolutely had to patent it. And something really important for your listeners to know, you can't build a product, put it out there, share it with anyone, sell it, because if you do, it becomes public knowledge. And as soon as it's public knowledge, it's not patentable.
Right.
And so we had to keep this to ourselves and be very, very careful. And as Deanna brought one of her relatives in to actually do the CAD design for us, and we have to make sure that we have non-disclosures and things of that nature before we've applied for the patent. Once you've applied for the patent, then you're first in line, and so you have some protections that are there. But an important step that your listeners can take that we took in the process was doing what's called a provisional patent. And a provisional patent is a very inexpensive way to get that first in line at the patent office seat. And it's very low cost. We did ours on, I think you used LegalZoom to do our initial provisional patent application, and I think we spent $1,100 or $1,200. So nowhere near what a regular patent costs. And what it allowed us to do was then to figure out the product, figure out the market for it, and make sure that we would want to invest $20,000 to $30,000 in a full-blown patent application along the way. And when you have a provisional patent, what you have is you have 12 months from the date you submit your provisional patent application to file a full patent application. And so that's exactly what happened with us. We did the provisional. We had 12 months, 11 months and a few days. We submitted the full application because we've been able to test our product in the market and make sure that the value was there to make it worth the investment.
Wow, that's a golden tip.
Yeah.
I did not even know that existed as far as preparing for patent. We're used to just going straight to patent attorney and start with the $10,000 fee and then the retainer fee. And before you know it, you're right. You're between $15,000 and $20,000 for patent pending.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Really.
And you're still, with the provisional patent, you are still patent pending at that point. You just haven't submitted the full application yet.
Right.
So you are covered through there. Well worth the money
pending
spent.
Carries a lot of weight.
It does.
So that's great information. So it sounds like you guys funded all the initial startup then.
We did.
Yeah.
So we're both super resourceful as well. And one of the things that I found a cousin who knew CAD design, so he helped with the initial design of the product. And when we sent that we couldn't send that to the manufacturer because
it wasn't a full manufacturing file. But we were able to get the full concept there, so we could start taking it around to manufacturers and to other CAD designers who would have access to actual final manufacturing file software.
But then Don was looking for CAD designers that were charging tens of thousands of dollars to design this product for us. And with my knowledge and background, I said, well, why don't you try Fiverr? And he's like, what's Fiverr? And I said, it's a great platform to be able to find contractors that do everything from web design to CAD design to social media to, you name it, there's someone that can help. And we found this perfect person who has been with us from the start and has helped design most of our products for minimal cost.
So the first few phone calls we made, the bids were coming back at roughly $12,000 to $15,000 per part design and a roughly 18-month time frame, which when we've got multiple parts becomes cost prohibitive. And the time frame, having to wait a year and a half when a provisional patent's only good for 12 months, isn't going to do us much good.
Exactly.
And so on Fiverr, we found David, and David lives just outside Paris. I had contacted him and said, this is kind of what we're looking for. And he said, yep, I can do it. And I said, how much? And I think he said 140 or 150 bucks. And I laughed and I thought to myself, okay, I'm not going to get anything legitimate for that price. But I can afford to risk 150 bucks. It's not going to break the bank if it doesn't come back as to what I wanted. And I said, when do you think you could have it back to us? And he said, I don't know, Monday work okay for you? He's got his real job, and then he just does this on the weekends to pay for vacations for he and his wife. And he sent us these 2 files, and they were perfect. And we were then able to upload those onto manufacturing websites, and they do their analysis, and their instant analysis came back as to, yep, this is a manufacturable file. What do you want us to do with it? And so, we saved, a year and a half and tens of thousands of dollars using Fiverr.
That's for anyone who's starting a business from an RV. Really look into Fiverr, because you're absolutely onto something there. From my perspective, and helping other companies prepare for production, and going to some of these contract manufacturers, it is literally $10,000 to $50,000 for the design. Now, when you hear the word $10,000 to $20,000, that means they get to produce it. They get to finish, and they get to retain those production rights. And if it's more like the 50,000+, then you can take that. You just had that done for $140.
Yeah. Correct. We've actually felt guilty. We pay him extra money periodically just because I feel guilty at the prices he charges us.
Overpay your vendors.
We do. We send him bonuses. Yeah, when we know he's taking a vacation, we send him bonuses.
Man. There's another aspect that when you are designing a product, and a lot of companies will want this, and if you're actually getting grant money or anything like that, they want a feasibility study done. Did you happen to have any kind of feasibility, or did you just, I'm looking at this going, this is a no-brainer. I wouldn't have to have a feasibility. So right. I'm guessing you did not.
No.
Yeah,
it really because we were able to keep the initial costs down so low, and the initial things we did out of pocket. We have a dear friend who has said for years to me, if you guys ever start a company, or if you ever start a company, I want to be a part of it. And so we weren't sure what all we were going to need, so we did bring him in as a small investor on the side. But we ended up we were able to fund the entire company from start to selling product for about $9,000 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into the 3D printing?
Yeah. Well, and we did it. So we did some things in stages. So we knew we had a design, but we also had the idea that it probably wasn't perfect, and we could only stick our head up in our air conditioners, not into other people's. And so, and also we wanted to minimize our investment, because molds, once you've got your design, now you have to pay for the molds. And the molds easily run $30,000 to $50,000 a piece.
Exactly.
And so you don't want to invest that kind of money unless you know that the product is designed exactly the way you want it to be designed. And so we started using commercial 3D printers. 3D printing had advanced enough at that point. Your typical home 3D printer, you're not going to be able to do what we're able to do with these folks. I mean, these are folks who are using $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 3D printers. But we had our one initial product, which was a Coleman product. They were 3D printed through a commercial 3D printing shop. And we were able to then perfect it, and we utilized customer feedback to do the redesigns. And so David could quickly incorporate, we'd get a complaint here or there, and we were able to share that and then make redesigns, so that once we had that dialed in, then we could do the injection molding. And the 3D printing was great in that there was no initial upfront cost. We had to pay per system, per part produced, but those parts were expensive on a per part basis. By moving to injection molding, we were able to get pretty reasonable. The 30 to 50,000 is here in the U.S. And then the cost per part was too cost prohibitive. So we get our parts from overseas. But after the injection molding investment, our parts are typically running in some cases anywhere from a fifth to 1/10 of the cost of what the 3D printed parts were costing.
That makes
excluding the investments in the molds. So,
of course.
Yeah. But it was, and then they're more durable, easier to ship, more substantial. So it was a good move for us to move to the injection molding.
Yeah, that's a win-win.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And that's what we still tend to do is when we come out with a new product, we start with the 3D printing.
Sure.
We get customer feedback to make sure that, we don't have to adjust any of the design and then move to the injection molding.
Such an important point that you are listening to your customers.
Absolutely.
What it's all about.
Yep. The firmness in your voice, Don, that's what it's all about. I agree. No, and that's why you're successful and will be you will continue to be successful. We already talked about the costs and the tooling costs. And at one point you found the ones who assemble this, we'll call them the assemblers, and who warehouse it and who fulfill it. It's called the Beacon Group. Can you tell us more about how that happened?
Go ahead.
So I have a heart condition. And it's actually why I ended up full-time RVing. I had moved to Denver in 2015. I got sick as soon as I got there. After 8 months, I went into doctors and they informed me that I only had half a fully functional heart. I had a massive birth defect and I should have died as a child. And so 7 surgeries, 2 strokes, a whole lot of really bad stuff. And after 6 years, my kids and my doctors all said, you have to get out of the altitude in Denver. I couldn't figure out where to go, and so I just started RVing. So recognizing that I physically can't be involved in the day-to-day operations of the business. That's thank goodness for Deanna, because she runs the company. I get to hear a lot of what's going on and be a part owner, but she runs it. So as we were looking for someone to be able to assemble our systems for us, there was always the option of having them assembled overseas. But, we'd like to keep what we do overseas minimal. We'd rather have the business happening here in the U.S. As much as we can. And so as we were looking around, we actually found one company initially, and that did not work well. And our structure didn't work well. We were going to have a company assemble it. Then it was going to be shipped out to another a company that would fulfill it for us. And that just extended our supply chain and extended the length of time it took for us to get from manufacturing parts to selling to end consumers. And we needed to consolidate that. And Deanna had gone to bed one night and I was dinking around on the internet and I stumbled across the Beacon Group. And they're a company based out of Tucson that was formed 70 years ago by a couple of mothers with disabled kids. And they wanted their kids to have something that they could do that was productive as they grew into disabled adults. And so they went around to local businesses and just found anything and everything that their kids were able to do. You fast forward 70 years, that company now employs over 2,200 disabled people here in Arizona. Wow. And they have clients from all over the place doing all sorts of different tasks and building products and fulfilling, et cetera. And so we approached them because it allowed us to, my people, so to speak, right? It allowed me to give people who are disabled that have the ability to work on a daily basis to get out and do something productive. And the Beacon Group has done a fantastic job putting together our team. We have folks with developmental disabilities, physical disabilities, behavioral disabilities. They all bring their skills to the table, and they do an absolutely fantastic job. The number of people we would have to employ to do what they do and the cost of facilities and storage and fulfillment and everything else, we couldn't function without the work that those folks do, and they're very much appreciated.
Yeah, so we have about 12 people on our team?
Yeah, it can fluctuate up to, during busy season, up to about 20.
Yeah.
And when you say 12 to 20 people, you mean the Beacon Group is assigning that number of people to assemble
Exactly.
and ship and take care of it?
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they've got, we're a summer season company. They have folks that are winter seasonal, and then folks that are year round as well. And so they will pick and choose and mix and match folks at the right time of year to the right products internally to make it happen. And they assemble the products from scratch. They package them for us. And then as the customer's orders come in, they fulfill those orders for the customer. So it's basically an entirely outsourced back shop organization.
This episode is made possible by Travelfy. Want reliable internet without the hassle? Meet Travelfy. It's portable, high-speed Wi-Fi that's ready to go wherever you are. From road trips to remote cabins. No tricky setup or permanent location required. Just plug in and you're connected. And here's the best part. No contracts, no commitments, and no reactivation fees. Pay only for the months you need. Travelfy connects to the strongest available signal among multiple major networks, so you stay online with confidence, backed by a US-based support team that knows the outdoor lifestyle. Travelfy, simplifying internet while you travel. Visit travelfy.com today. That's TRAVLFI.com. Listeners can save 15% with code RVE at checkout.
Wow, what a beautiful marriage.
Yeah.
No, that's nice. Well, let's pivot over from packaging and injection molding. And Deanna, your background you mentioned earlier is in operations. And
Yes.
Don just mentioned that you run the company. So let's talk more about the business side of things.
Yeah. So I have worked with startups for a number of years, and I started my own business in 2017. I was living in New York at the time, and I kept outgrowing the companies, so I decided why not start my own, and I can work with a multitude of clients to help them get off the ground. And my forte is systems and processes. So what a perfect partnership to be able to start this business and completely understand everything that it takes to get a company off the ground and succeed. So that's what I was able to do. We actually met a gal, and we do, we've done some RV shows selling our products. We have a booth at Quartzsite and FMCA, and we've done a number of shows. And we met a gal at one of the shows who was an RV tech, and she was looking for another side gig, and it was just absolutely a perfect situation. So she is actually our tech gal. Her name is Tiffany, and so some of our customers may know who she is if they've called or emailed, and she's helping with installations and anything on the tech side as far as our product goes. We have another gal on our team who is the daughter of someone from the Beacon Group. And so she does our customer support, and she works from home. Everyone's remote, obviously. And so she's doing the back end of the customer support, answering emails and phone calls as well. And so those are the two gals that we have on our team now.
Oh, and Candace.
And Candace, sorry, we met another gal on the road. She and her husband are full-time RVers, and now they're living in Alaska. And Candace does our social media. So she's our social media manager, and she helps out with our Facebook and our Instagram, and has done some brochures and stuff for us as well on the creative side. So, So that's really, because we're full-time RVers and we meet people wherever we go, we really want that connection with our customers as well. So when we're eventually building our team, we are looking for people that have experience RVing so that they can relate to what our business is about.
We would love to have one or both of my sons come into the company and run it for us. But the problem is we've told them that they can only get involved in the company if they go out in full-time RV for at least 1 year. And they don't want to do it. And we've told them repeatedly, if you're not in the lifestyle, it's not a fit. You've got to be part of that lifestyle. So hopefully one day they'll figure it out. But if they're listening, get on the
Don,
road.
I hope they do, for your sake. I really do. And coming from experience, and you don't know until you don't know what you don't know when it comes to full-time RVing.
Yeah.
And you have to do it, like you say, at least a year to understand, to really know what this lifestyle is about. And then also to understand your customer, because it's not just knowing that it's difficult to heat or to cool your RV in the middle of the summer, but it's the type of people you're dealing with and the friendliness and there's a special bond between RVers, just like there is between motorcyclists, and it's all there.
Those are my other people.
Yes. Are you're also a motorcyclist?
Yep. We ride Harleys. Yep. We love our bikes.
Just see the.
There we go.
Oh, nice.
As am I.
Outstanding.
So you understand, and you realize that that RVing is very similar to motorcycles. It's just you're on the side of the road and you need help. It's another motorcyclist or an RVer that pulls up and helps you.
Exactly right.
So
Absolutely.
the systems, a business is built on these systems, and it sounds like you have some really solid people running their systems in place now.
Yeah.
Is there any other advice for different kind of systems that an RV entrepreneur should know, Deanna?
Yeah, I mean, putting together the platforms, there's so much to starting a business, as you know. So making sure that you have the right email platform in place, and we use Shopify for our background for our website and selling our products. There's a number of platforms that we use. Making sure that we have all the SOPs in place so that if someone's not able to do their job, we can bring someone else in easily and have all of those steps in place to be able to just jump into the job. Putting all of that in place is what I do. And
yes,
it starts with doing research, and it's really just simple research. And that's another thing that you can find on Fiverr too. If you don't have that tech ability, there are people that you can find at minimal cost that can help you put these platforms into place.
Shopify, in addition, has, and I've encouraged my kids, honestly, to go and utilize it. They have a video library that I'd call it an MBA in a box, where there are short videos that will walk you through everything from soup to nuts on starting a business, running a business, and different types of businesses. And so for anybody out there that's saying, I don't know, don't be afraid of what you don't know. Go tackle it. And that the Shopify video library is a great place to start if you've never run a business before.
The resources are definitely out there.
Absolutely.
And but you have to learn by practicing.
Yeah.
Not reviewing. You have to actually get your feet dirty and dive in.
Yep.
And I like that you have your SOP manual. I called that in my old business our alien abduction manual. That every process and every system that we had in Paradigm Fitness in our old business was, when I sold the business, I passed on the manual, and the buyer could keep everything exactly the same as it was successful at the time. And to this day, it still does exactly the same thing based on that manual. So good for you.
Yeah. I love templates.
Right?
Yeah.
I could talk those all day. So once you get your patent, your provisional patent and then you have to form the actual company. Did you go ahead right away, Deanna, and form an LLC or an S Corp right out of the gates?
We did.
We formed a C Corp, and we actually did that before we did the patent application. And that was another thing that we did on Fiverr, or excuse, not on Fiverr, rather on LegalZoom. And I want to say that was like $200. And they did everything with we incorporated in the state of Arizona. They filed all of the federal and state documents that needed to be done and provided everything, and that was pretty quick for that all to be set up.
Nice. Do you maintain LegalZoom as your legal representation? As there are a lot of issues to cross when you're a corporation. So
yeah, no, that they were great because we had no idea, again, what would happen with this product when we launched it, if anybody would actually buy it. And so that was really just, okay, well, we need to have it. We'll see how it goes, but what's the least expensive way we can do this? But have somebody else do it for us. And that was that particular one was the least expensive that I found that I knew. I think there may be some less expensive options that individual attorneys offer out there, but I was familiar with the name and it was worth the price.
You guys, you have definitely used all the newer systems, the sort of the online system, everything that has evolved to be a nomad in business, you've taken advantage of. And this is absolute proof that it works. I love this. Can you talk a little bit more about the logistics of what it's like to have a product that you're selling and be on the road? I mean, how often are you guys traveling? How are you? I mean, you've given us a nice picture so far, but fill us in more on the logistics.
Yeah, so being full-time RVers, we usually winter in Arizona. So we're here in Arizona now, and we're typically here for about 5 months or so. So we have a little stability, and then once it starts getting warmer, we hit the road, which we're doing next week. So, the great thing about how we've started the company and finding such a great team, we have the warehouse that does all of the assembly and fulfillment for us. We're ordering the products and shipping it there, and then it's hands off. We have our staff that takes care of the customer support and our tech issues. We've actually promoted one of the gals to help out with our website updates, and we have our social media manager. So everything is pretty well taken care of. And, for the most part, we're hands off. We have biweekly meetings with our teams just to make sure, we're all on the same page. But, and if there's any issues that we need to, talk about, if there's new product development, all of that. We want everyone in the company to understand what's going on, and so we can move forward that way. But yeah, it's pretty much running itself, and that's what I love about what I do, is making sure that I'm setting up a business that's a well-oiled machine and can just pretty much run itself. So it's been pretty easy. A big challenge. Don't get me wrong. We started in our friend's garage doing everything ourselves. We put together the website ourselves. We, did everything. But now we've, gone to that next step and have people taking care of it for us. You built the systems, and now you work on your business, not in your business. Exactly. Yes. And that's where you want to be, especially if you're a full-time RVer and need time to take the hikes and enjoy those. Yes. And Don, you're not mountain climbing.
No, not doing a lot of what I used to do. But it goes, for me personally, because Deanna she spends a decent amount of time every week in it. But, I have good days and I have bad days. And when I have my good days, we need to spend those good days really doing good things and enjoying life. And so, that's one of the beauties of the way that she set it up, is that it's specifically that you have the company. We have a call center that answers the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Christmas Day, somebody wants to call in, somebody will answer the phone. It's not going to be us. And they'll get a message to us where, Deanna and her team are available on weekdays during normal business hours, because living life is important, and getting out and doing those things. And so, for the people that are listening that are thinking about starting their own business, don't get too caught up in the business and in the weeds. That's what you need people to do for you. And you've got to keep that balance, and you've got to be able to scale, which is, I know, something else that we may want to touch on at some point. But if you're going to scale, you're not going to scale if you're doing all the work yourself. Yeah.
Correct. I think we've already touched on that, Don. I mean, when we talk about systems, and Deanna putting these systems in place so that you can scale, and they scale with the business, and nothing changes. You are still working on the business, and you are taking time for yourselves, which is the whole point of being in business, as far as I'm concerned. Not making millions of dollars, but having freedom of your time. I'm only
now. You look at. You look at like the Beacon Group, and they've got 2,200 people there, so there's a lot of people that can assist with us. But there would be some benefits. For instance, if we had another location in the South or in the Upper Midwest, where we could cut mailing costs. And frankly, from a business continuity perspective, if the warehouse burns down right now, all of our products in one warehouse. If we have multiple locations, that gives us more flexibility should something happen. And so, I will say that there are actually companies like the Beacon Group all over the United States. So for listeners who are looking for companies like this and they want it local to where they're at, there are a ton of companies out there like the Beacon Group that can do some or all of what they do. And so just in support of the disabled, please seek those out if you are looking for a good partner in a space like
information.
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, and another thing with the scaling portion of our business, because we are still scaling, and we're going to be hiring more customer service reps very soon. But the team that we have in place are very tech savvy. So if they find something, a new platform or a new system that they think is going to be work better or improve what we have going on already, we are completely open to those suggestions, and we love those suggestions. So, because they're in it every day with the customers.
Maybe, and I don't know the specifics on this, but I know you've integrated some stuff together with a couple different email and phone and everything. You're using.
Yeah, we use Help Scout for our email system, which is a platform you can assign emails to specific people. So rather than using Gmail or Outlook, this is a system that is perfect for small teams and really helps everything be organized. And then we were talking about our answering service. We use a company called Answer First, who has been great. They have someone on call 24/7 that answers the phones for us and can patch those through to the person that's needed at that time. If someone's in the middle of an installation or whatever the issue is, we have that in place.
And they're user-based and English as a first language.
Yes.
So
that's so important.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like, okay, we've touched on the systems, but it sounds like your systems are not only great for running the company, but they really, really do put the customer first. And I don't want to use the word, okay, let me rephrase that. They take it from the customer's perception.
Yeah.
You've completely answered every question before it occurs. You want the perception of your customers to be that this is a company that cares. This is a company that, it's coming through like mad that you guys actually and really do care. So yeah, it's clear. Let's see. We've talked about scaling. And, okay, let's get back to, when you decided on price point. You talked about finding the competition, being really expensive. How do you, or how does anyone that's developing a product come up with the appropriate price point? And Don, you're the finance guy, and we've got operations here, so fill us in.
It was actually pretty simple.
Again, looking at our competitor, we knew what they were charging, and we knew that we weren't willing to pay that. And at the time, they would allow their customer reviews on there unfiltered, and about a third of their reviews were people who were saying your product's too costly. And there was literally a guy on there that said, at some point, somebody's going to figure out how to do this. What was it? Do this for $75, and they're going to start a company and put you out of business. And I looked at Deanna and I said, "There's our price point." So thank you to the anonymous reviewer. But going if
but so at the time we started at $74.95 plus shipping. So people were shipping was all over the place because of where orders were coming from. So at one point we decided that it would best suit our customers. It would be better for our customers if we started including shipping and just up the price $10 across the board, because it's really going to save them money in the long run.
Yeah.
Smart.
And there's a lot to learn there, right? When you start shipping, you've got to figure out the right size boxes and who you're going to ship through and how you're going to get the product to them. So there was a lot of work that everybody went through trying to get that to happen. So, yeah.
So listeners, I was going to say, listeners, the amount of work that goes into shipping someone's product is obscene, and the trial and error, and one of the things that I ship is pallet shipped. So we're talking big money every time we ship. So what you put into it, and the fact that you decided to just up the price $10, because me as the consumer, I don't want to deal with how much am I going to pay for shipping? Yeah. Okay, I live in this zone, and I just want to know what's my final price.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've solved that problem for the consumer.
Yep.
Good for you.
Yeah. And there were a lot of complaints that were coming in before we did that. We knew that our cost of shipping was roughly right around $10. We knew we weren't going to lose any money. We knew we weren't going to really make any money by moving that price point. But all of the complaints went away. The phone calls went away. And it just goes back to listening to your customers. There are some things that customers ask for that we just can't do. There are certain, there are some ACs out there that are old that aren't manufactured anymore, and people would love for us to make systems for those, but we would never get back the investment that we would have to make to build those. And so we just have to politely say no. Flip side to that is we get, Winnebago and Jayco customers. They frequently have smaller duct openings than what the AC manufacturers recommend. And so we were getting a lot of returns because they either couldn't get the vent adapters to fit, or they were uncomfortable trimming those to fit. And so we had David design a new vent adapter that we'll be rolling out later this late spring, early summer, that is already adapted so that the trimming does not have to occur. And so that's just another way that the team is listening to what's coming through and making product improvements to deliver a better product to our customers.
Always evolving. Yes. Listening and evolving.
Searching for the perfect campground can be overwhelming, but not with RV Life Campgrounds. With user-generated reviews, RV-specific data, and real-world internet speed tests, you'll have all the information you need to find your ideal spot. Don't leave your camping experience to chance. Trust the experts at RV Life. Visit campgrounds.rvlife.com to start your search.
Wow. Before I move on to my next question, I want to know, what's it like to work with all of these different manufacturers? And I say both the RV manufacturer and the Colemans and the GEs and all the different air conditioning manufacturers. What's it like?
So it's been an interesting road. We have met with some, and there's an interest there, but we don't have a manufacturer yet that is installing ours from the factory. We have some that have expressed an interest in testing. We have some that have done some limited testing, but change, there are a lot of people that are reluctant to change. We had a large AC manufacturer that was very interested in our product, and there were some great meetings that occurred between the team and them. And then everyone kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and we found out that team was released and isn't there anymore. And so, if we wanted to re-engage in any way, we have to start from scratch. And so for us, we look at it and say, okay, we own the patent on this. So, nobody's going to come along, we don't think, and come up with something better, less expensive, easier to install, performs better. If they do great, competition is a great thing. But if nobody's going to go out there and copy our product and try and put it in, we would not allow that to happen. And so our take is we're really focused on RVers and selling our product on a direct to consumer basis for now. And if there are manufacturers that decide that they do want to join in and participate, that's great. But For now, we are very happy focusing on our RVers, and at this point, we literally we haven't hit our 2-year anniversary yet, and we have tens of thousands of customers.
That is so cool. I mean,
thank you.
Goosebump worthy. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you.
Total dream come true. And anyone who starts a business, this is what they wish they could say in 2 years.
Right.
Incredible. Now you just mentioned you're direct to consumer. So how do you market?
Facebook, mostly Facebook social media ads. So Facebook ads and Instagram.
When we started, we launched the website on a Saturday morning, and kind of looked at each other and went, okay, well, how are we going to get people to know that we exist? And we had to figure out the whole, how do you show up in Google search? But then the problem became, well, nobody even knows to search for us, so that's not going to do us any good. And so we were sitting at a baseball game, and I said, what do you think about spending $5 a day on a Facebook ad? And what was your response?
I don't remember.
Yeah, she wasn't real keen on that, but I'm like, we got nothing to lose. And so literally at the baseball game, we slapped up a $5 a day ad. And that was a Sunday. So we started on a Saturday, flipped the ad on a Sunday night in Missoula, Montana, at the baseball field there. And Monday we got our first order.
Wow.
And ended up with 3 orders on our first day. We had what do we have, 100 systems or something like that we started with?
With 100 systems.
Yeah. And those sold out in 9 days. And
Incredible.
While those were flying out the door, we ordered a bunch more parts. I think we ordered another 150 parts, put them up for a pre-order because we had to wait for them to get manufactured and shipped to us. The pre-order sold in 3 days. And from there on, that entire summer, we did not have product in stock. Everything was pre-ordered that entire summer, and we sold several thousand that summer.
Incredible.
Yeah.
All from a $5 a day ad. So you said 9 days you sold out on the first run?
On the first 100, and 3 days on the next 150. And
so
then
your marketing cost is $45 for the...
Yeah. And then every pre-order ad we put up sold out same day from there on for the rest of the summer.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just an unmet need.
Yeah,
and
so now we've...
and again, they didn't know, because you were in a position that no one's going to search for that. You could write blogs until you're blue in the face, and no one's going to find you.
Yep.
This really is where Google ads and Facebook ads can play a huge part in taking a company from 0 to 60 right away.
Yeah.
Well, and their use of AI is spectacular. Yes. And I know we all feel like, okay, wait a minute. Are they listening to me because I just spoke about some bizarre little tool I need and it showed up in my Facebook feed? But the advantage to that is that for us, it helps keep our product costs down, because we don't have to spend exorbitant amounts of money on marketing.
What a
we
great
utilize
perspective.
their AI to find people, so that they're really doing a great job of finding a consumer with a need and taking a business that meets that need and putting us together.
And now, that our business has grown to where it is, we also rely on word of mouth.
Yes.
So,
sure.
And that's the RV community. Everyone talks to each other. They meet people along the way. And if they have something that's working for them, they're going to tell all their friends. And if it's not working for them.
Yep, we sure do.
But yeah, we get a lot of word of mouth as well.
Wow. Man. So do you keep David on as as your engineer from this point forward?
Yes.
David's great. We're looking forward to the day we can travel to France and actually meet him.
Wow. Will he leave his other job and work full time for you guys?
There isn't really a need.
No.
I mean, we have some other products, some things that I've discovered RVing. We have a potential product in the side-by-side world. We're actually starting a new company, likely will launch in October, where one of the problems that I have is I snore tremendously. And poor Deanna, I'd wake up in the morning and she'd be out on the couch because she couldn't take it.
Oh.
And so I started tackling that problem. and actually came up with, there are lots of gimmicks out there. There are lots of patches that people try and do, but you've got to wear things at night. You've got to do all these horrible things. I designed something that actually tackles the root problem that you use during the day for a couple of minutes, and it has completely eliminated my snoring. And so we'll be launching that company later this year. We're in the middle of a study right now to prove efficacy among other people besides myself. And David did the design on that for us. He knocked that out in probably 20, 30 minutes. And so there just isn't enough work for David to do for us to have that on a full-time basis.
We do have a list of products, like Don was saying, the side-by-side and a couple of other RV-related products that we intend to create and come out within the next year.
But, an important thing for your listeners is you have to fully develop the product you have. You have to understand, we reprioritize our list all the time. And we had our RV list prioritized, and then I stumbled across something else, and then I stumbled across the snoring, and the snoring went straight to the top just because of the impact it can have broadly for people to be able to sleep. And so we're always looking at that and reevaluating it, but you can't rush in. There is a lot of money that it takes to grow a company effectively. And, with me not being able to be involved in the day-to-day operations, Deanna is busy enough without having to tackle getting in through some of these other things. So we really look to let that product mature and then roll them out as the investment opportunities are there, the time and the opportunity with the people that Deanna has on the team.
Yeah.
Smart. Clearly, Deanna's got her stuff together. You two are a remarkable team to produce multiple other businesses, and you should not just stop with KoolRV. Let it scale.
Again, for the folks out there, don't restrict yourself. One of my favorite Ted Lasso quote is, "Be curious." There are literally millions of people that have looked inside of their air conditioner on their RV and not thought, why aren't these connected? Or they thought it, but they didn't do anything with it. And so I would just encourage your listeners, be curious, look at stuff, question why it is the way it is. And if there isn't something better out there, then do it. Take the risk, take the plunge, and do it.
Do it. You have nothing to lose. And you've spent such a small amount of money, just pulling the trigger yourselves.
Yep.
Outstanding. My goodness. What's the next step if you've got multiple companies? Are you looking for more investors to come in and really take this global, or are you comfortable at the rate that you're growing? You should be, by the way.
We're very, very happy with the success that Deanna and the team have achieved. Would you agree, hon?
Yeah, very much.
There's a tremendous amount of opportunity there for continued growth. We are looking, when we filed our patent, I guess, to hop back on that for a second, we filed a patent within there's an international treaty that covers you in other countries. And so we actually do have a clock ticking there where we have to make a decision about what we may do in countries outside of the U.S. and Canada. We have our patents in the U.S. and Canada currently filed. And so we'll continue to look at that. The snoring company is an interesting one because it's a very small, easy to produce, easy to ship tool that will likely go through. One of the reasons we're launching that in October is because all of Deanna's folks will be done with the RV season, and so they'll have their time free, and this will give them work to do through the winter. And then Deanna can work on hiring through the winter to be staffed up completely, depending on how that company does and how KoolRV continues to grow. That buys that window in there and allows us to keep our folks well fed along the way. That one, because of the international implications of that one, we may end up looking for potential investors. The question we get all the time, why don't you take for KoolRV is, why don't you take this to Shark Tank? And I always think in the back of my head, well, we may have something a little better for Shark Tank if it ever gets to that. And
well, from a VC perspective, the team, the dynamic that you guys have, you're the dream of a VC. Seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, hopefully the folks at Shark Tank are listening to your podcast.
Hopefully so. I mean, although that being said, you really want, non-liquidable funding that you don't have to pay back or give away a large percentage of your company.
Exactly. Well, and again, that's kind of the beauty of what I'm a simple guy. And when I come up with solutions, they're typically going to be pretty simple, like connect the AC to your duct. You don't get much more simple than that, right? The sleep silencer tool is even simpler than that. And so, when I was in the corporate world, complexity killed so many opportunities, and I always took a simple approach. And I can't recommend that enough to folks out there. Don't overcomplicate anything. Keep it simple. And you don't have to solve everything for everyone, but you need to understand what you're solving for and do it well.
That's such a great way to put it. Yeah. Keep it simple. Yeah. And I think we get caught up in complexity. Like we feel like
very much.
What we have to solve has to be, first of all, it has to be a complex problem. And then you have to solve it with, the complex initiative. You're right. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah. It will be interesting to see how people react on the one, but just the pure act of connecting the AC to the ducting, part of what, and I touched on this at the beginning of the podcast with the fluid dynamics, is that air is basically having to expand out into the plenum, and then it has to pressurize to try and force its way into the ducts. That creates two things. One, the air spends more time in a hot roof than it does circulating through your rig, so it warms from there. Actually, three things, correct. It increases the noise level, and then that pressurization, when you put air under pressure, it begins to warm on its own, just because of the pressure. And so that's why we get 3 to 4 degrees on average cooler air temperatures coming out of the vents. As a result.
Simple.
It is. It is.
So simple. Wow. Is there anything else that you want to tell the listeners? Because you've been very open, and I really appreciate that about this whole business. Anything else?
So I would really encourage people. You can start a business, and it doesn't just have to be about making money. You can care. So our support of the Beacon Group, and not, we don't give them money; they earn it. We offer discounts to military and first responders because we have a strong belief in supporting our military and first responders. And so we use GovXID on our website to provide discounts for them. But then we also donate money to charities that support first responders in our military, current and former. And so I would just say to the folks out there, when you're starting your business, don't just think about a product. Don't just think about the money you're going to make, but think about how you can prioritize the things and the people and the communities that are important to you, and how can you incorporate that into what you're doing with your business, so that we can make a difference out there.
Man, big businesses could learn from you, Don. You got it.
Right. Used to work for a few.
I'm so happy for what you guys have accomplished. And
thank you. Today's
discussion has been outstanding and very, very enlightening on how you run your business from the road. And the last thing I want to ask is to tell me about all your social media accounts and where can people find you online?
Yep, we're on Facebook, KoolRV Inc.
With a K.
KoolRV with a K Inc. And Instagram are our two ones, and then YouTube as well. Yep. And if you go to our website, KoolRV.com, all of our links are at the bottom of the homepage, and you can click through on there.
Beautiful. And your website is fantastic. It flows. It's well thought out. It has a nice hierarchy to it. Well done. Well done.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So it's been a real pleasure speaking to you both. Thank you for coming on the show today, and I wish you both really well.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Don and Deanna's journey as much as I enjoyed speaking with them. And they talked about two what I think are very important points. First of all, keep it simple Everything that Don has worked on and Deanna have worked on as far as their systems and the product, it's all simple. And listen to the customer. I mean, you could tell how much they genuinely cared about what their customers had to say, and they wanted to make things right all the time. This is a dynamic duo that they're going to go far. So make sure you check out their YouTube content, social media content that we'll list in the show notes, and learn what you can and help support KoolRV. Until next time, happy business building and RVing.
Hey RVers, let's be real. Your RV shower head isn't great, and even if you swapped it out for something better, chances are it's just a shinier version of the same old thing. And if you're really lucky, those stiff hose kind of let you get wet, but definitely not where you want it. That's where WaterPick comes in. A global leader in water technology, they've designed the Transform RV showerhead to change the way you shower on the road, making it easier and more efficient to shower in tight RV spaces. While other RV showerheads have limited spray adjustments, the Transform RV's unique 360-degree pivoting head allows you to customize to any spray angle without having to remove it from the bracket. This means you can reach your desired spray area and shower with both hands free. This shower head doesn't just work better, it feels better. It's engineered to deliver powerful, consistent water flow. Its multiple spray settings are optimized to get the most out of your water tank. And with the new trickle switch, you can conserve water without that shocking blast of cold or hot water when you turn it back on. It's available in white, chrome, and nickel. The WaterPick Transform RV showerhead is ready to upgrade your RV shower. Head over to Amazon and check it out now.